Hello everyone, I'm Allan. This is the report for performance and accountability on Department of Conservation's Biodiversity Audit Report. This report is based on Audit New Zealand's report, and in that report the findings of a performance audit that examined how well the Department of Conservation is prioritizing work and working in partnerships with other agents, also grouped to the management biodiversities. And just to let you know about the background for this report. Firstly, the Department of Conservation is responsible for managing biodiversities on conservation land and waterways outside of the conservation assets. DOC also providing support to and advice and funding to private landowners for biodiversity management. And following the structural changes, DOC's ability to manage the conservation estate is now highly dependent upon effective and collective arrangements within our working partners. Lastly, the performance audit considered whether the structure changes aimed at streamlining and growth through the working relationship between the effective and efficiency. In my report, I've investigated the four aspects. First one is the public and the private partnerships for DOC. Second one is the prioritization framework. The third one is the integrative management strategy. And the last one is the information provided to the partners. Let's have a look about the first one, the public and the private partnerships. This is including funding and the report. First of all, the PPP is split into three broad categories. First one is ecosystem-based collaboration. The second one is a commercial partnership. And the last one is regional responses. They represent the different biological layout, the private and the public area, as well as the different government levels, central and local. Recently, DOC has wanted to increase its partnership with the community base because they can do more conservation together than they could do it now. But the DOC's fundings in financial year 2011 to 2012 DOC report, they received 330 million from the Crown and 10% from other activities, including donations, charges, and recoveries. Within this 10%, Fonterra is the biggest donor. They donated 20 million New Zealand dollars for DOC to look after the land and the waterways. And fundings of partnership also from other entities like donations from the community, fundings from the Biodiversity Advice Fund or the Condition Fund, also from the capital investments that DOC had. And the Department of Conservation also receives annual budget from government, and the regional and local councils fees. And lastly, also including the business activities. About the DOC's report, the reporting variously greatly depends on the fundings, requirements, and the involvement of the DOC. There are two important areas in the report, in DOC's report. One is the improvement, how they improve the biodiversity. Another one is how they increase the performance measurement in the report. Let's move to the second area. This is the DOC's prioritizations framework. Regards to this framework and how it works, we notice the DOC have 9 steps of ranking projects. First one, DOC will define one object. After they define these objects, they will state the constraints for these objects. Also, they will list a biodiversity assets with these objects and with assets. After that, they will list a management projects and calculate the different objects' cost. And then they will predict the benefit from these assets. And lastly, after they gathering all this information, they will estimate a likelihood succeeds. And they will rank all these objects based on this success percentage. And they will pick the projects from high rank to low rank. Also, the financial accounting and information system will be involved in this kind of ranking system. And Doc noticed that they have to choose 200 species from a total 2,800 indigenous species. And Doc also noticed that the new prioritization approach will require a better data from Doc that they currently have, which means they have to invest a bit more funds in that area. Lastly, the modeling the cost and the benefit of managing a particular species or ecosystem with the aim to optimize the benefit within a budget also have to be considered. And Doc also concerns regarding to the effective and existing projects. Doc may stop work on some low-ranking historical projects. And Doc also consider there are some whether they have to be equipped to manage any resulting tensions successfully. And lastly, whether the Doc's staff have supported it and also have a capability required to succeed in their new roles while implementing new prioritization tools. And one of the issues in this kind of new ranking system is since the new government, New Zealand government use zero budget for all government departments, which means different departments, they have their own different ways to rank the projects. So in this case, one project in Doc may have been ranked in a higher place, however, it may be ranked in a very low place in other departments, which means Department of Conservation needs to have better interdepartmental cooperation between other departments. The next area we're going to look at is the integrated strategy management of biodiversity. Doc is a member of some sector groups in central government that are focusing on improving the integration of biodiversity management between the central and the local government. As we all know, currently there are 5 members of agency inside of the government's natural resource sectors that are cooperating with Department of Conservation. And they are as follows: the Land Information New Zealand, the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, the Ministry of Economic Development, the Ministry for the Environment, and lastly is Te Puni Kokori. And there are kind of issues between the Doc and their strategies currently. The first issue is most conservation management strategies are expired between 4 to 8 years ago. The second issue for Department of Conservation is their main shareholders express concern about the Doc's lack of timeline in renewing their conservation management strategy. And the third one is some shareholders also raise a concern about whether the conservation management strategy and the national park plans have been implemented at all. Last issues for Doc's strategy is Doc has only focused on short-term planning at this moment, also on short-term budgeting. They have not had a long-term strategy management to approach their goals. And the Auditor New Zealand also point out the solutions for this lack of strategies. They say the Department of Conservation has to clarity of the roles and the responsibility through working agreement. And they also say that the Doc have to develop memorandums of the understanding and joint optional statement. Let's have a look about the last area in the auditor's report. This is the information provided to the partners. Currently, the Doc's strategy, the information target is not satisfied with the Auditor General. The Auditor General pointed out in this report says DOC needs to make a long-term commitment to information gathering, monitoring, and evaluation in relation to its performance. In the auditor's report, they point out the current achievements that are made by DOC. The first one is the threatened species classification system. This is a good example that an efficient information system is mainly advantaged by systematic manners of information collection and use. The second example is DOC's Kiahwati project. This is an excellent example for a well-developed collaboration formal partnership, because the role and the responsibility information, works planning, and performance reporting are just so well cooperated. But there are also areas that Auditor New Zealand are concerned about. First one is inadequate information about the partner's responsibilities and targets. For example, Auditor General identified the regional conservation strategy are out of the date for at least 4 years. Adversely affects the partner's conservation management plans. And also DOC described this as their handshake with other communities. Deficit of the outcomes information, which should be corresponded by partners' decision making, because the workings partnership with ultimately affected by DOC's outcome through enabling the achievement of conservation outcomes. The last concern area is other partnership lack the effective approach of the Kiatoka project, such as the Watana Logo partnership. In that case, the Auditor General points out their overall views for the going forward point for Department of Conservation. First one is conservation management strategy should be renewed in a timely manner. Second, there should be a set of practice to preparing and applying working agreement. Lastly, the long-term planning and the resource information for partnership should be developed. Overall, the Auditor Office has found there is a need to develop proper information management framework for informed working partnership. And this framework are just like this on the right-hand side. The overall DOC's performance are subscribed into the 3 areas. The first one, DOC's structure changes were aiming to creating a more integrated strategy organization for improved conservation management through effective working relationship. The second one is while there are promising developments, the Auditor Office identified a number of areas of concern, which is a concern we mentioned previously. The last one, overall this project, I believe DOC needs to show a commitment to that the new strategy outlook on performance, also based on accounting financial management through the prioritization of their resource and information system, all need to be detected towards strong working relationship to deliver the conservation partnership outcome. This is my report, and based on this report, my audience point out 3 questions for this report. First question is why biodiversity is so important. First of all, New Zealand is a home of exceptionally high number of indigenous species, and many of them are endemic to their countries. Secondly, it's also related to us as well. Biodiversity is important to food security, medicine, fresh air, fresh water, and a clean and healthy environment. Biodiversity provides a wide range of important ecosystem service that many people are not aware of it. This is including soil retention, water purification, improving water yield from catchments, managing carbons, and the hazel reductions as well. So that's why biodiversity is so important to us. Second question is regards what is the biggest challenge for DOC on managing the biodiversities? DOC faces lots of questions on managing the biodiversities, but they have two major challenges. First one is the geographical boundaries. This is a boundary between the private and public land and the waterways. The second challenge for them is organizational boundaries at the various levels of government, and also including outside and inside of the government as well. The last question is, how does DOC to set up these priorities? DOC uses 3 steps currently to set up their ranking systems. Firstly, they were gathering this information on biodiversities to inform its setups, and they're also making a long-term commitment to collecting these informations. And lastly, they're currently using their new prioritization tools to set up these ranking systems. That's all for my project report as well as the question period. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.